I want to talk to you today about ground rules for healthy couples conflict. Conflict can be healthy. Conflict is a given between any two people. Sometimes we have conflict within ourselves. So, how can we expect to not have conflict with another person, especially if we live with them? We each come to the table with our own history of experiences, and they come into play in our relationships. Healthy conflict involves each person acknowledging how they're coming to the table with the goal of leaning into the other's needs, not entirely changing into them, but balancing the relationship by leaning in. So you can think of a yin-yang sign and notice that there's a little bit of small dot of the opposite color in each side. Are you a person who avoids conflict and maybe even broadcasts that conflict is coming your way before you have confirmation, which could create dread for you? There's nothing wrong or bad about either of your approaches. You're just different. And that's probably a part of the reason you were unconsciously or maybe consciously drawn to each other. The important part is that we lean into the other to balance the relationship. So if you're avoiding trying to become more engaged in managing conflict, lean in, try to become more engaged. If you're more familiar with engaging in conflict, it may be that you need to give your partner some space and pull back and maybe not fix it right this second. Maybe they're not able to be ready. Sometimes one person is having a hard time with connecting with their own feelings, and therefore they can't give the other the insight to help fix the problem. In that case, giving each other that space, and really importantly, designating a time to come back, to return to the issue at that time when you're giving the space, will help. So I would like to give you a script for managing conflict. And the most important rule in this script is that there's no finger pointing. So try not to use the word you at all. Y-O-U shouldn't really be in the script. So partner one would express, I feel, and then in this space, I feel blank, you would add emotion words. And there's usually more than one going on in the same time in our mind. And it's beautiful and it's complicated. So the sentence is, I feel, emotion words here, relative to whatever the situation is that's at hand. And then partner two tries to restate. So they'll say, I hear you saying, and they restate, or sounds like. And so you're paraphrasing, you're reflecting, but you're not repeating verbatim exactly what your partner said. And a nice tip too is to not use the words I understand. It's a subtlety, but when we tell someone we understand, we're lying. We never really understand somebody else's emotions, how they feel, no matter how well we know them. We just don't. They're the only expert in how their mind works and feels. So partner one listens to what they are reflecting or restating without interrupting them. And then partner one can say, yes, I agree, that's what I mean. Or they can provide some clarity as to how it might be subtly different from what they said, or entirely different from what their partner said. So you just keep going calmly, if possible, back and forth like this, not interrupting, not pointing fingers, but trying to grasp what the other person said and restate it in a way that makes sense. We're actively listening. But it's not verbatim when we restate. And then you switch roles, and the other partner gets to talk about how they feel relative to the situation. Maybe they have multiple feelings relative to the situation. So you reverse the roles, and you both thoroughly work with how the other one is feeling, but not in a complete sense of understanding. You come to what to do next. So it could be as simple as agreeing to disagree. We're different people. Sometimes we don't agree on things, but you might be able to come to some kind of maybe action step or compromise, and that could create preventive maintenance so you don't get stuck in the same loop again. Another tip is that it's difficult to find or name your emotions. You might need some space and need to come back later. And some people have a hard time getting in touch with their emotions, so you could use an emotion wheel. It's a really handy tool. You can find them online. So I hope this helps. You can use it in real time. You can make notes. I bet there'll be a script on my website somewhere or on my Substack. Take care, everybody. Good luck. Conflict is healthy. It's part of every relationship.